All right. Good morning, everybody. Let's get started. All right. Today we're talking about building your brand, whether you are newly licensed or have been licensed for a long time, or whether you're planning on becoming licensed. Building your brand is one of the most important steps you can take to really supercharge your business. Now, before we get started, let's talk about branding that you see outside of the real estate industry. Can anybody name a brand where you can see their logo or see their colors and not see their name and just automatically know who it is?
Sorry, I forgot to raise my hand.
You don't have to raise your hand. Go ahead, call it out.
UPS.
UPS, yes. UPS is great at branding. You can see their colors, that brown color that they picked so well. And you can see their logo without seeing their name and know that it is UPS. In fact, they do such a great job at it that my dog, who can't even read, can see one of their trucks driving down the street in front of our house and lose his ever-loving mind because he thinks they are delivering his Chewy box. So UPS is a great example of that. Can somebody give me another one? Start picking on people. Haley, give me an example.
Yeah, Starbucks.
Starbucks, great one. Starbucks. Yeah, you can see the logo without the name and know exactly who that business is. And this is what we're talking about, is building your brand. So keep in mind, as you start your real estate journey, or whether you're revamping your real estate journey, you need to build a brand that is uniquely yours. Now, of course, you all work for Realty One Group, and Realty One has its own branding as a company. But what are you going to do to stand out in the pool of real estate agents all over Western Pennsylvania? Because there are thousands of them. How are you going to be identified in the market? So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to bust this down and go through the next couple weeks of our ultimate launch training, telling you the steps that you need to do and the things that you should be considering when building your brand. So why do we build our brand? And why do we do it before you're even licensed or while you're just licensed? So first thing it does is it establishes early recognition. So you want people to recognize you and know that you have your real estate license and that you're the best damn agent in the market. That's what we want to tell people. We want to create a brand before even obtaining our license that allows us to start building that credibility and recognition early on. The second thing we want to do is build credibility and trust within the market. So a well-defined brand helps us to establish that credibility and trust with our peers and with our What did we do last week, guys? Who else are we building trust and credibility with?
Your sphere of influence.
Your sphere of influence. Excellent. Thank you, Rebecca. Your sphere of influence. We're building credibility and trust with our sphere of influence. We also want to start working on that marketing momentum. We want to get you in those great habits that are going to take you far in this industry once you are officially licensed. So we want to work on that marketing momentum. We want to get our brand elements out there. We want to tell people, hey, I'm in real estate school and I'm going to be the best damn real estate agent in this market. I'm doing it now. I am proud. Cheer me on. Be part of my support system. We want to let everybody know what you're doing and what you're up to. We are going to start with professional preparation. So this is going to get you into those good habits that you are going to need to do, not just today, but for the rest of your career. This is also going to help you network with new people. So yes, we have our sphere of influence. Remember, last week's homework for the next 4 weeks is to build out how many people in your sphere. Does anybody remember what your minimum is?
50.
50 people in your sphere. But if you remember from your training, how many people can your brain remember at one time? What's that magic number?
150.
150. You know how hard it is to remember 150 people? And that's why we have that booklet. That's why we write it down. So you may only have 50 over the next 4 weeks, but we want you to build that and network to get to 150 or more. This is also going to help you with early lead generation. So what I can tell you is lead generation is one of the hardest things to do to run your business as a real estate professional. And that is generating leads who later become clients, whether that's going to be, the minute you get your license or years from now. Building leads and generating leads is one of the toughest things that you can do. So starting your brand early helps people start to associate you with the real estate professional that they want to work with when they decide to buy, sell, or rent. Your brand is also going to help you with content creation and marketing. So this is going to help you create valuable content that you can use across all platforms. We're talking everywhere. We're talking your blog post, your social media updates, your website, all of your printed material, your any type of collateral that you have, whether that's putting it on a t-shirt or putting it on a business card. All of this should be your name, your branding should be plastered over everything that you do. How many of you notice that when you see me out, I'm always wearing the same thing? Or generally the same thing, right? I don't wear a whole lot of other clothes other than the Realty One Group Ultimate clothing that I wear. And that's very specific. I do that for a specific reason because I am rebranding myself as a broker owner. I'm going from an agent, and you don't see my agent logo or my team name it anymore. I'm rebranding myself as a broker owner. I'm rebranding myself as Realty One Group Ultimate. And that just exudes from my body and everything that I do. It's on my business cards. It's on my website. It's on my social media. It's on my clothing. It's even on my shoes. If you guys haven't checked out my shoes recently, at least over the last 6 months, the shoes I wear to work have our logo on it. And I've got multiple pairs of them. So I am just a walking billboard for my business. And that's where we want to get all of you as well. And one thing we want to think about when it comes to our branding is that we want it to be consistent. We want to have I can't talk today. We want to have consistency through all of our branding sites. So we want to make it look exactly the same in everything that we do. We don't want to have a branding identity one day and then change it the next day, although that's super easy to do because sometimes branding can get stale, especially to the one who made it. But we want to make sure that we're doing our branding right and we're doing it right the first time. And since a lot of you guys are in your pre-licensing courses, this is the perfect opportunity for you to really think about it, digest it, and take your time to build out the branding that you can really be proud of, that really just screams your personality, that really connects with your audience. So we're going to go over some things that you need to do. And like I said, this is going to be over a couple weeks. If you looked in your ROGU agent portal with the training, you're going to see that we have a couple sessions because building your brand and branding yourself is just, we cannot cover this in an hour. And I want to be very sensitive to your time because I know you guys are currently, a lot of you are working, plus you're in studies and you're doing all of this other stuff. So I just want to be very sensitive to your time today. Okay. All right. So what are the very infant steps of what we need to do to build our brand? And the first thing is you need to define your brand identity. What does that mean? I mean, that's so easy to say, define your brand identity, but what does that actually mean? Anybody got any guesses? Anybody know? Rochelle, I'm going to pick on you. She may or may not be able to answer. I think she's at work. No? Okay.
Would it be to kind of what makes you stand out?
Yes.
Compared to others?
Exactly. It is something that is unique to you. It is something that is unique to you. Who are you? And not just who are you, but how do you want others to see you? How do you want to be perceived by other people? So I know a lot of people that are on this call have not gotten to know me on a personal level. I can tell you that once you're here for a while, you definitely will. I think out of everybody here, maybe Rochelle has spent the most personal time with me outside of work, just because, I've known Dylan for a long time and we've become great friends. So who I am on a personal level is different than who I am as a broker owner or who I was as an agent. It's just different. And you're going to notice who you are, how the public perceives you, it may be slightly different than who you are at the very core. And that's okay. That's okay. Now, obviously, your branding should be in line with who you are in the inside, because trust me, if you fake it to the outside world, they're going to see right through it. But on a professional level, what's great is you get to decide what parts of you they see. You get to decide what parts of you the public sees. Now, think of a politician. We're not going to use the current presidential election that's going on, because that's just, we're not even going there. But we're going to talk about politicians in general. Think about our local politicians, because this is a better example. They have branding, and they have built their brand very specifically to gather votes, right? We don't know who our politicians are in their personal lives. They keep that stuff very hidden. Other than their political views, which we're going to go over this, but other than their political views, they keep a lot of their other views very hidden. And the same thing is true for real estate agents. One thing we never talk about is we never talk about politics. We never talk about religion. We don't talk about anything that could make a splash, because we don't want that to be seen, whether positively or negatively, in our professional lives. We may talk about that personally with the people who are closest to us, but we do not talk about that as part of our branding. We do not talk about it as part of our marketing. We need to remain Switzerland. So building your brand is very important, and keeping these things in mind is very important. All right, so we need to determine how other people are going to see us. We also need to determine what is our unique value proposition. I'm going to say that again. What is your unique value proposition? What are you offering the public? What are you offering the community that is unique to you, that not every real estate agent is providing? So what is that going to be? The second thing we need to do is we need to design our brand elements. And to do that, we need to determine what our color scheme, what our fonts, what we want it to look like. You're looking on your screen here, and I literally made this in 30 seconds before we jumped on the call. And this is our cover image for our training that says building your brand. The first thing I did was decided on my color scheme. And obviously I went with black and gold. Doesn't mean you have to, it's just what I went with. So I went with black and gold. And then I decided what I wanted that to look like. Of course, I did the circle in the background because of the one coin that we all see. But today I wanted to make it a little bit more flashy. So I went with more of a cursive font. So this is part of setting up your brand elements. And we're going to go over this in a little bit more detail. It's going to be what we spend the majority of today's training on. Next, we want to go through our developing an online presence. And this is something that we are going to be doing in next week's training in detail. You're going to want to set up your professional website, create your social media profiles, make sure all of your platforms look unison across the board. So we're going to talk a lot about social media platforms and getting noticed online next week. We're also going to talk about content planning and how to plan out your content once your brand elements are built. And we're also going to talk about networking and engaging. All right, so let's jump right into it. And that is defining your unique value proposition. So a value proposition is a clear statement that explains how your product or service solves a customer's problem or improves their life or situation. It needs to be specific on what benefits it provides and how it tells the ideal customer why they should buy or sell with you and not the competition. Okay. So value proposition has, I know we've touched on this very lightly in some previous trainings. We haven't gone into any great detail, but volunteers, I'm not going to pick on anybody. Has anybody come up with their unique value proposition? Even if it's just a thought, doesn't mean you have to have it written down, just a thought, who you want to be and what value you want to provide to the community. Anybody at all? No? Okay. That's all right. We're going to go over this and I'm going to have a handout for you. I will email it to you as well, but we'll be putting all of this information in a booklet for you that you can pick up with Victoria at the office. Please also, many of you have not picked up your Sphere of Influence booklet. Please do that when you have the opportunity. It's very important that we get that done by the time our training is done. All right, so some key elements to keep in mind with a value proposition. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure that it's relevant to the market. An example just off the top of my head of something that would be not relevant in our market is that you decide you want to sell beach condos in Western Pennsylvania. That would be non-relevant to the market because we don't have beaches here in Western Pennsylvania. The closest thing you could get is probably a rundown apartment on the Ohio River. So you want to make sure that your one of the key elements of your value proposition is that it is relative to the market and that it is solving a current problem within the market. So I think the very first thing you need to do is identify a problem or identify a hole in the market. When I started many years ago, one of the things that I found in our market is that nobody wanted to work with investors. And keep in mind, I was a brand new agent. I didn't have very many leads. There were no training programs like we have now. There was no such thing as like a real estate mentor, really, unless you had a friend or a buddy in the real estate market who just took pity on you. There were no coaches. Tom Ferry was not as big as he is today. There was not a whole lot of that to really help the brand new agent build their business. So what I became very good at doing is going into the office, being very quiet, pretending to be busy while listening and watching all the other agents who are bustling around me. I became very good. And it was kind of fun because I thought myself as almost like the real estate spy. And trust me, I wasn't there to steal business. I would not do that. That's not the way to do it. But what I found is I heard the gripes of the other agents, how investors were just wasting their time, didn't want to pay them, wanted to pay them peanuts, wanted them to lease a property, this, that, or the other. And I went home after many a times just sitting in the office, just doing nothing but absorbing everything like a sponge. And I thought to myself, how can I take this problem, these garbage leads that all these other agents are throwing away, and build my business on it? And that's when I came up with a plan. My value proposition was to be the go-to agent that investors could count on. At that point, I decided to hunt down a coaching company by the name of Powerhouse Wealth Strategies. They had already had an agent who was just shuffling paperwork, but I decided, you know what, they're the ones who are buying in the market and I am going to weasel my way in. And that is exactly what I did. They had a problem and I brought the solution. I just didn't want to be their agent. I wanted to be their advisor. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a leader. I wanted to be an educator. And I was going to do that at my own cost. And the benefit to me was it was getting my name out there. And that's exactly what it did. The connections I made from doing that, from building that value proposition, has led me to where I am today. And then it just snowballed off of that. So find your value proposition. Find the hole in the market that needs to be filled. Now you want to make sure that this value proposition has quantifiable value. So it delivers specific benefits and values to a customer. And then it can be done over and over and over and over again. So this needs to be something that's repeatable. Okay. This needs to be something that is scalable. And you need to make sure that it's different. You need to make sure that it is different from what other people are doing. Now, let's say you want to get into an example that comes to mind is I have a couple agent friends down in Pittsburgh that only cater to, sports professionals, whether they're with the Steelers or the Pirates or whatever. That's their niche. That's their market. Okay. So they already hold that market. But let's say that you live in Mercer County. And there are people in Mercer County. There are sports professionals or even minor league sports professionals that want to buy real estate in that market. Can that be duplicatable in your market? Well, yeah, it can be totally duplicatable. Maybe you want to be the condo agent. You want to learn everything you can about condominiums and planned communities. And you want to be that agent in your specific micro market because there isn't one now. You can absolutely do that. So just make sure that it's different for your specific micro market. All right. So tips here, be specific, avoid vague statements or guarantees. Focus on the customer, not on yourself. So you want to highlight how your services directly benefit the customer. Keep it concise, aim for clarity. So you don't want to leave it so general. One of the things that I don't like is when I ask students about their value proposition, and they say, I want to work with first-time home buyers. I promise you 75% of the agents that come out of training still tell me that I want to work with first-time home buyers. That means nothing. That means nothing in this market. Whittle it down. Whittle it down. Do you want to specifically, if you want to work with first-time home buyers, that's great. But do you want to specifically work with first-time home buyers using a USDA program? Do you want to work with first-time home buyers who are also veterans? Do you want to work with first-time home buyers who are from high-risk communities, that come out of high-risk communities, teach them and educate them how to purchase a home? Generational poverty, is that the first-time home buyers you want to work with? Do you want to work with first-time home buyers with disabilities and be their advocate? You need to be specific. And you want to test and refine your branding. This is super important. The first time you put out your branding, it may fail. And that's okay. That's okay. The first time I put out my branding, it failed. It failed horribly. Went down in flames. It smelled worse than a dumpster fire at Red Lobster. It was bad. But you know what? I learned. And I refocused, I recentered, I rebranded, and I did it again. So don't be afraid of failure. All right. So some homework for next meeting is to start thinking about your value proposition statement. And that's going to be in the material that I email you, your value proposition statement. I want you to write down in your own words, who are you going to be, or who are you as a real estate professional? What value are you providing to the community? So start thinking about those. It does not have to be a final. It could be a paragraph. It could be a bullet list of ideas that you have. We're going to build on it. We're going to work on it. But let's get started there. All right. I know we are limited time. So next we're going to talk about an agent logo. And this is the fun thing that you guys can all do. This is something else we want to start working on before next week's meeting is your agent logo. You want to make sure that your agent logo has professionalism and credibility. So you want it to look professional. We want to build an agent logo that provides brand recognition. We want to provide something that is memorable. So we don't want it to look like everybody else's agent logo, right? And we're going to use it for all of our marketing and advertising purposes. So how do we come up with an agent logo that is unique to us? First thing you want to do is you want to pick your colors and fonts. Okay, so we're going back to this, picking your colors and fonts. If you're looking at the example on your screen, again, I used black and gold. I don't know what it is, but a cursive. And I think that's Roboto for the word your brand. This is what I built. I came up and the first thing I did was picked my colors, picked my fonts, and then figured out what it was going to say and added the graphics of what it was going to look like. So you guys are going to need to do something very similar. All right, so let me minimize my screen here and jump onto Canva. If you don't have a Canva subscription, I can tell you that it is very, very likely in your real estate business that you will use it and use it often. I do. I use it for all kinds of different things. I use it for logos. I use it for advertising. I use it to design t-shirts. I use it for training presentations. I use it for all kinds of stuff. You don't have to use Canva. There's lots of free programs online that you can search to make logos. I just prefer Canva because they have a huge library of stuff that you can pick from. It's super simple to use, and you can use it for a lot of different purposes, okay? So first thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and go to Canva or whatever program you're using, and you can see that I put in the word logo at the top, and I'm going to click enter. When that happens, it's going to take me over to some pre-designed templates that I can choose from. Now, all of these templates are editable, and you can choose whatever template you want. Some brokers will tell you this is what your agent logo has to look like. One of the things I hated when I worked at my previous company is that we were only allowed to use monogrammed agent logos. So when I went over there, they forced me to change my Christina Hoffmeyer team logo that I had been using for 12 years. And I really, really hated that. I really hated that because that was my brand. That was my identity. It was recognizable. We're not going to make you do that. Your logo is all you, and it should be as unique as you are. So let's start here and let's pick any of these. Let's see. Let's say we want to go with this one. All right. I'm going to go in here and click Customize Template. And that is going to pull up the template within Canva. Now, like I said, this is fully customizable. So if you don't like this background, you can change it with something else. For time's sake, I'm going to just keep it the same. You can change the wording that's in here. So I'm going to put my name in here. And let's say I'm an independent agent and I just want to put real estate agent in here. Within less than 15 seconds, I was able to make a logo that actually looks pretty decent, but it's not perfect. So if I want to change this, and let's say I want to change the font, I can pull down on the font and maybe I want to try a Brittany font. Oh, that looks great too. Maybe I want something a little bit more bold, but not over the top. Let's try this Brendan font. There we go. Let's see if I want to go to this. I think it's really small on my screen, but I think it's called Montana. But you know what? Let's just say that I like that one. But now it's too small. So I'm going to go up here to increase the font size to get it exactly the way that I want it. Perfect. Looks great, right? That could be my new agent logo if that's what I wanted, if that's the brand identity that I wanted. But let's take a look at more of what this logo says about our brand. If you saw this, you had no idea who I was. You have no idea what my personality is. This logo, because of its cursive font and its light colored splatters in the background, would make you assume that I am a female who presents myself in maybe a very, very professional way. Maybe I'm very girly. I'm very soft-spoken. That may be my brand. That may be the brand that I want to portray. But even if I go by my nickname that my family calls me, which is Chris, most guys use the word Chris if they're a Christopher. Most Christinas do not. But if this said Chris Hoffmeyer, even though I took the Christina out, one would still assume that I am or identify as a very feminine individual. So your logo, your background, your fonts, your colors, your images speak volumes even when your name does not. Okay, so it's very important to remember that. Now, if I had, let's take a look here at maybe a different option. If this was my logo and I changed my name here, and put real estate professional, what does this branding tell you about me? Just based purely on assumptions. Any volunteers? Who would you think I am?
I would feel like you were more based on like modern, high, like upscale, real estate end. I mean, just because it's very clean lines. And it is more, I guess, masculine.
More masculine. Would you assume, and we never want to assume anything in a market, I'm not saying that, but just to kind of get some thoughts on who we are as people, would you assume that I am a girl or a guy, or that I identify as a girl or a guy?
Definitely a guy. And
Mhm.
I take from this a very strong agent.
Very strong personality, very masculine, very manly. The
Right.
name Chris, the lines on here, the colors, the font, yes, very masculine. And if my branding, if my personal branding is soft and sweet and girly, maybe I love interior design. Maybe I love farmhouse decor. Maybe I love all the frills and I showed up. You hired me because you wanted sleek lines. You wanted more industrial. You wanted a guy's opinion because you are, the consumer is a bachelor that wanted a male agent who was very masculine, very, not frilly, not girly. Would you pick the wrong agent based on this logo?
I'd say probably, possibly.
Yes. You'd pick the wrong agent based on a logo. So your branding as a human being, your branding as an agent, and your logo must go hand in hand. They must. They absolutely must. Because as much as we'd like to think that us as agents can service any client at any time, the truth of the matter is you can't. We have so many different agents in a market, all of which have become highly successful, that run their businesses completely different ways, who are completely different people, who base their branding on completely different things, because all of our consumers are just as different as we are. And what you provide and who you are makes you special within the market. So you need to celebrate it, not hide it. You need to celebrate your differences. This is why if you look around at everybody else's profile photos, most of you do not have your photos up, but I'm just saying, if you look at the names on this screen, you have met each other. All of you are as different as night and day. You are all different. And we celebrate the differences because we know that our consumers are all different. We know that there are no two consumers who are exactly the same. And a consumer will pick somebody based on who they are to the core of their professionalism, because they feel comfortable working with somebody who is like them. So make sure that when you're designing your logo, it screams you. You don't want to work against the system. You want to work with it. Okay. So pick a logo that screams who you are as a person. Pick your fonts wisely. Here's another one here. If I apply this, Olivia Wilson. Who do you assume Olivia is? What does Olivia Wilson's logo say about Olivia?
I take not as fun and easygoing as that first one you did with the splashes in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere in between that and the really harsh one that you had.
Yep. So very professional.
Mm-hmm.
not as creative. I would say that based on the font, I would assume, and again, we're just assuming because Olivia is not a real person, but I'm just assuming that Olivia probably wears higher end clothing based on her font and her logo, because the logo reminds me of high end clothing or high end shoes. So she probably does higher end properties. If we're looking at this logo, what does this logo say? How does this logo make you feel? There's no wrong answers. Anybody?
A little more
Kinda like
relaxed than Olivia.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Madison.
I would say more like country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more country. And why does it make us feel that way? You know what it makes me think of is the old time diners in a small city. This makes this logo to me screams community realtor, hometown realtor, involved in the community, has a close bond with the people. And it's because of how that logo is set up. It almost reminds me of your favorite diner in the town you grew up in. It doesn't look like that. You know, in no way does this look like a diner sign, a diner logo. But it's amazing how the smallest elements in your branding can change the whole perception of who you are. One more. What's this one say? Anybody? What's this one say to you? Who is this person? Who is Daria? If you had to imagine Daria's business, who would you pretend Daria to be?
I don't know why, but I get like a Top Gun feel from that, the way that's styled.
I love that. I love that. Haley, who do you think Daria is?
Like a proper put together person.
Mm-hmm. Me, with this simplistic signature, almost like logo, makes me think that this is somebody of high importance, a celebrity within the community almost, somebody who knows a lot of important people. That's what this logo screams to me. Somebody who knows, who has a lot of connections, because their name says it all. Daria doesn't need to tell us. Daria is a real estate professional. We already know. Everybody knows who Daria is. A signature will do, right? So these are how logos can vary very much. And it's up to you at this very pivotal moment in the beginning of your careers to determine who you're going to be seen as. Very pivotal moment. Who are you going to be seen in the eyes of the community? Who do you want to be? Imagine this moment as you going to a brand new school for the first time. You're a freshman in high school. You finished your 8th grade year at some school in Colorado, and you're coming to Pittsburgh for the first time. Rebecca can resonate with this. You're coming to Pittsburgh for the first time, and you're a freshman in high school. Well, in Colorado, you were okay. You were loved. And I can't say, Rebecca, this is where the relevancy ends because I don't know anything about your high school. But in Colorado, you kind of got picked on. And you know, you were okay. You had your friend group, but you weren't one of the popular girls or guys. In Colorado, you didn't really play sports. You weren't known as one of the jocks. You weren't known as one of the it kids in Colorado. But in Pittsburgh, nobody knows you. So you tell your parents that you want to go out and you want to get new clothes and you change your clothing style. You want to get new hair and you get your hair done a different way. The same way that all the cool jocks wear their hair. You practice all summer long, become really good at football, and you get to Pittsburgh for your freshman year and you walk in strutting like the most popular jock from Colorado and you dominate the school. That is changing your branding. That is how a freshman boy or girl or whoever can change their branding going to a new school. Right now, only your sphere should know that you're in real estate school, right? They should know. I say should because you should be starting to let them know based on our last training. Only your sphere knows that you're in real estate school. So you need to determine how the rest of the world is going to see you before you come out with your big announcement. So that's what we need to do here. So really take some thought, take some time. This is not something that you should do in 30 minutes. You need to really take time because you only have one time to make a good impression. Now, like I said before, sometimes branding fails. It does. Sometimes branding fails. I have changed my branding more times than I can count until I found what was right for me. But as an agent, the basis of my brand, who I was, my value proposition has never changed. My fonts have changed. My logo has changed slightly, and I only changed it slightly to make it more appealing. So this is your point to start setting the stage, setting down the pavers that create the road to what you are always going to be known as in your real estate career. So lots of different programs that can help you. Like I said, Canva is just one of them. You can go on to Publisher. If you have Microsoft products, I've used Publisher. Canva was not a thing way back in the day. So I used Publisher to do my first logo. There's lots. There's a ton of different programs out there. I can't even name them all off the top of my head. Canva is just the one that I recommend. It is super user friendly. There are so many options. You can mix and mingle different logos together. And all for naught, when you look through that, when we were on the homepage for the logos here, what I love is most of the time I scroll through and just start getting ideas. Okay, so you can go through and just get different ideas. Maybe you love this butterfly, but you like, the monogram too. So you want to take this brand element and overlay it on top of this brand element. Maybe you love this circular design, but you don't like the monogram in between. And maybe you want to take the butterfly and you want to put it inside the circular design that has your name on it. You do that. Find some options that work for you. And here's the thing, don't make just one. Don't make just one. Make a few logos. Make a few different agent logos. And what I'm going to challenge you all to do is to download those logos and then place them up on social media. Just make sure that you're disclosing that you are in real estate school. You are not a licensed agent. Please do that to make sure you're in compliance. Hey, friends, if you didn't know, I'm in real estate school working very hard towards my real estate license. I'm not licensed yet, but I'm laying the groundwork for my branding. Please help me out and vote on which logo you like the best for me to use once I'm licensed. Vote in the comments below, logo 1, 2, or 3. This is a way to get your information out there that you're starting your branding, you're in real estate school, or that you've recently become licensed if you're already licensed, and have them help you pick. This is great for your marketing. This is great for recognition, and it's wonderful feedback because your sphere of influence, who is now on your social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever it is, they're going to be honest with you because they want to see you succeed. They are the people who you know, the people who know you, and the people that should know you are either in real estate or you are entering real estate as an agent. So how do we take our logo and how do we share it out? Very easy. Once you have your logo just right, you go up here to share, go down to download. It's going to ask you if you want to download it into a PNG, into a JPEG. You can have transparent background if you want. You can keep the background and just click download. It's going to work in the background for a few moments, and then it's going to pop into your downloads field up here at the top. See? So we're going to go ahead. And we're going to click it. And let me extract it. Extract. It's working in the background here. I know you guys can't see it. And we're going to go ahead and pull that up. There's my logo. Right click on it, save image as, and save it to whatever file it's going to go to. And then you can share that on your social media. So this is something great that you can start with. So your assignment, and of course I'm not giving out grades here. I'm not giving out grades, but this should be a fun assignment. So your assignment for next week is to, one, come up with your unique value proposition. That should be first. Come up with your unique value proposition. Who are you going to be in the market? What service are you going to provide? And what problem are you going to fix for your future clients? Item number 2 is to come up with your color scheme and fonts for your agent logo. And number 3, I want you to use your value proposition to design a logo that is unique to you, that has your name or your initials or however you're going to do it, but something that is unique to you. Okay. It can be, there are no wrong answers. There are no wrong answers. But next week, before we start the next step of our online presence training, please have that available. I'm going to have you share your screen and show it. If you don't know how to share your screen, or if you can't share your screen because you're on a smartphone or a tablet, I know that's a little bit harder, email it to me in advance. I would love for us all to see what we all came up with, how different they are, get some feedback as a group on what it appears to be, what it's showing us. Okay, because we're all just starting to get to know each other, and some of you don't know the other ones well. So I think this is a great setting for us to pull that up and say, okay, if we don't know this person, what is this logo saying to us? And let's make sure it's in line with your value proposition, what you're trying to say, okay? And like I said, this does not have to be the logo you're going to use forever. This is a training tool so that we can figure out what your logo and what your value proposition says about you as an agent, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. We want to make sure it aligns with what your values and goals are. All right, hit me with questions. Any questions you have? Yeah, Rochelle. All right, Rochelle says, how will you know if your branding is successfully working? That's a great question. So trial and error and feedback. So I think the very initial one that we're going to do, and what you guys have as a leg up that most agents don't have, this is super important, is that most brokerages do not have these type of trainings. You guys have your own little small community here of people who are in about the same spot as you are. So I think what's going to be super important is when we share our logo and branding and we get feedback from the people that are here, we put that out on your social media, and then we start getting feedback from your sphere. And then you have to try it and test it. Once you become licensed, or if you're newly licensed, you have to try it and you have to test it. It does take a while for your branding to set in, because remember, we talked back to UPS or Starbucks. They have been using those logos for a long time. And companies do change up their logos from time to time, but they've been using it for a long time, long enough now that all we have to do is see UPS's colors, and we know, or all we have to do is see the lady, the Starbucks lady, and we know that it's Starbucks. So this is something that has to be repeatable, and it should be on everything. So like I said, this is something that once people start to recognize your branding, they automatically connect you with somebody who is successful in real estate. I always go back to that old adage of like, fake it till you make it. And a lot of people hate that saying, fake it till you make it. You shouldn't have to fake it. But at the end of the day, we do. We all do. I faked it. When I went into Powerhouse Wealth Strategies and told them that I was the best damn agent in the market, and I was going to make them a lot of money, and I knew everything about everything, and I was going to teach their students for free just so I could write their offers and have their business, I was lying. I was faking. I didn't know everything. There's no way you can know everything. But you know what I did is I promised them if they give me a chance, I was going to learn everything. I was going to learn everything. I was going to learn everything I could about that subject before I educated anybody, before I led anybody in that direction. That's exactly what I did. So sometimes you do have to fake it till you make it. You have to continuously, use your branding, and it will take time. It will take time. But right now, we got time, people. We got time. You guys are just starting out. We got time. And this is the time we need to do it.